Hello and welcome to Toon Boom introductory class. In this class, I'm going to teach you about Toon Boom Harmony. We are going to see how to use Toon Boom Harmony. But if you are using Animate Pro, you are able to follow along with whatsoever we are going to do on Toon Boom Harmony, because every other tool that we are going to use in this Toon Boom Harmony is also in Animate Pro. So this course or this class is meant to build you up in your usage of Toon Boom, how to create your animation. So by the end of the course, by the end of this training, you will have a very good knowledge of how to create a simple animation. So there are two types of 2D animation. We have the cutout and the frame by frame animation. So what I'm going to teach you today in this class is cutout animation. But before we jump into that, we are going to enter into Toon Boom. Now I've opened Toon Boom. You must have Toon Boom installed in your system for you to be able to open the application. So we are in the first page of Toon Boom Harmony. Once you click on your application, this is the first thing you are going to see. And in those dialog boxes that you see there, you see project directory. This means where you can save your work. Then you have your project name. So I'm going to call this project, give it a name, maybe call it something like Toon Boom, maybe Toon Boom. Okay, let me call it something like intro TB class. Okay, so you can give your own any name that you want to give it to, but I just decided to give this one this name. Okay, so in the resolution panel of the first page, you will see PAL, NTSC, low, HDTV, vertical, HDTV, film 1.66, 1.66 and 1.33. so this describes the resolution that your animation is going to render out in when you render out your work. So when you are through with creating your animation in Toon Boom, the final product, the final render that you bring out and people are able to see as a movie is what the resolution is talking about. So it depends on the quality of the animation you want to put out for your audience to see. So normally it's recommended that you always use most of the time use HDTV 1920 to 1080. Okay, so that's the full HD that most animations use today. But in some cases there are some animations that have gone way higher than that, like 4K resolution TVs, but some computers cannot handle that. So most of the computers that are used for animation before the modern computers we are kind of like invented, we use mostly 1920 to 1080. But if you want to have a faster animation or faster work in Toon Boom, and if you know that your computer cannot handle 1920, you can go below that. Okay, so I'll also show you how to change these settings once you come out from this page. So this is not the final place that you can set up your resolution. You can also set it up when you are working, so you have the flexibility to set up your resolution anytime that you need it. So after saying that, you can see recent scenes. These are the recent scenes that I've been working on. So but we just created a new scene right here for this class. So I'm going to I called it intro TB class. TB means Toon Boom class. Like I said, if you are using Animate Pro, everything that we are going to do in this harmony is still the same thing. It's still obtainable there. Also, don't forget about your documentation. In fact, let me open the documentation. So the first page, when you open up the first page, you are going to see a documentation PDF file here that you can open and get some of the basics of the animation. So you can open this documentation right here and it will teach you one or two things you need to know for you to get started immediately in Toon Boom Harmony and also Toon Boom Animate Pro. So in Harmony, this is the PDF file for the short lessons or tutorials, that is getting started guide. So with this guide can help you to know some basic tools and what they are used for in the software. All right, so if you install the Animate Pro, I'm sure it's supposed to be there. The documentation is supposed to be there. All right, so let us now create this project after explaining this part. So you click on create. Okay, so when we create this project, it's going to take a little while, then come up with the work area. So when Toon Boom opens, this is the area that you see. Okay, this is your work area. So like I said before, this is what my resolution looks like, but I can also change this resolution again if I want to by going to the scene. All right, scene settings. Now when you enter into the scene settings, you can see that my resolution is currently in low. All right, so I can change it to HDTV, which is the standard resolution for most of the animation that you watch, most of the cartoons that you watch. Some of them also have 4K quality. If your TV, your devices can handle such a resolution, but I recommend that you always stick to HDTV or HDTV vertical. Both of them are the same. Okay, both of them are the same. It's just vertical feet, horizontal feet, but basically they do the same thing. I didn't see any difference because I've used both of them at different intervals from different animations, and I didn't see much difference between both of them. So you now click OK. I want to change this thing to HDTV. So when you click OK, check what happens. All right, so you can see that this is my camera view. Before I explain something, I said this is my camera view, and in the camera view, this rectangular box you are seeing right here is your work area. Anything outside this rectangular box is not going to show in your final render. Do you understand what I'm saying? Now, this work area is where your animation will be able to be contained when you render it out as a movie. Okay, so anything outside this work area, if I draw something or if I start scribbling something outside this work area and I render it out, it is not going to show. The only thing that is going to show will be contained within this work area when I watch my animation. Okay, so you can also notice that the line, the borders of this work area changed immediately I changed my resolution. That is to reflect the resolution I am in. So that means 1920, that is the width, then 1080, that is the height. Okay, so it signifies the width and the height, that is 1920, and by 1080, that is width and height. So when you open Toon Boom Harmony or Toon Boom Animate Pro, the first thing that you'll be greeted with will be the menu bar, the toolbars, and the advanced animation toolbars. And also we have, if you look right here, you have the menu bar. The menu bar shows you the menu containing the tools, so many of the tools that you can manipulate, and other tools and functions that you can see in Toon Boom Harmony. Then by the left hand side of your screen is your toolbar. This is your tools bar, that is your drawing. The toolbar is divided into two. We have the drawing toolbar and the animation toolbar. From here, this tool that I clicked right now down to this point is the animation toolbar, but some of them can also serve as both the animation toolbar, both the animation tools, and also drawing tools, like the onion skin. The onion skin can serve both functions of animation and drawing. Okay, so from here to here is what we call the drawing tools. Okay, the drawing tools and the painting tools, and also the move and the manipulation tools. So the first two we see right here is the move tool, the select and the move tool. Okay, if you check each of the tools and you see something that looks like an arrow pointing down, it means that there are other tools within it, that same tool. So if I click and hold, it will give me other options of more tools inside that tool. The first tool is the select tool. It allows you to select your drawing. For example, let me draw something right here. I drew this and I want to select it. Now you have to click your select tool. If you select it, it's very easy to select. Just use your cursor and just swipe across, and it will select your drawing for you. It will select your artwork, and you can now move it around, scale it up or down, or rotate it. Now be mindful of the icons that changes, how the selection tool changes as I hover my cursor around it. Now if I hover my cursor around any, let me zoom in, around any portion of this artwork, around each of these square crosshairs, it will change into a rotate icon. That means I can rotate it this way, anywhere that I want. If you hover around those horizontal lines on the top or the vertical lines by the side, that means I can skew it left or right. All right, so you can also hover around each of the boxes and you can increase and decrease. If you want to increase and decrease uniformly, you hold down shift to increase and decrease uniformly, and you hold down, if you want to increase also and decrease uniformly from the middle, as you can see, hold down shift and alt while you are increasing and decreasing. Okay, so these are some of the shortcuts that you have to also be jotting down. If you are not jotting it down, at least if you can watch this video over and over again until you get all these things. All right, that's for the select tool. Now let's go to the next tool, which is the cutter tool. Now the cutter tool will allow you to cut a particular portion of this artwork. If for example I want to select a portion of this artwork, I can just use my, now you cannot do this selection properly without a graphic tablet. Now for you to work efficiently in Toon Boom or any animation software, it is highly recommended that you get a graphic tablet. It is very, very important as an animator, especially if you are a serious animator. You want to be a serious animator, get a graphic tablet. We have different versions. We have Wacom products, we have Huon products, we have Yugi, but I recommend Wacom because they are the best and they are very efficient as compared to others. But if you cannot get Wacom, Huon is another alternative. Huion for Huon. Then Wacom, Wacom for Wacom. You can check all these things on Google, all right, to help you and get the graphic tablet that you need, or in your case that you think is best for you. All right, so the cutter tool, what the cutter tool does is that it can select a portion of your drawing. For example, if I use my lasso tool, you can see my cursor. When I highlighted the cutter tool, my cursor changed to a lasso tool. What this icon here is called lasso. So that means I can do a freehand selection by just drawing around the selection that I want with my graphic tablet. So I can, maybe if I want to select just here and move it out from the rest of the drawing, I can do that. You can see that I've cut out a portion of this drawing using the cutter tool, from the name cutter tool. All right, so I can just cut out this part and move it aside, or just hit your delete key to delete it. And I can also cut out this part if I want to, and also hit the delete key to delete, depending on what you want to do. Okay, depending on what you want to do, the cutter tool is very, very handy. And I can also use the cutter tool to swipe. In this case, it's not swiping. So maybe when we start drawing and designing our character, we see how we can make use of this cutter tool more efficiently. So for the reposition tool, reposition all drawings allows you to reposition all your drawings in the same layer that have different drawings in each frame. I will show you what I mean as we go on. All right, so the next tool that we have here is the contour editor. And like I said, if you toggle down this arrow here, if you press and hold, you will see other tools inside them. We are going to be seeing what all these tools does one by one. All right, when the time comes, we might not be able to cover all these tools now, but we are going to cover them when the time comes. Now we have the contour editor. The contour editor allows you to edit contours. Now if you click on the contour editor and highlight it, you highlight or you swipe through your drawing or artwork, you will see that the artwork changes to something that looks like selection, and it has what we call contours. All these squares that you're seeing right here, all these squares here are what we call contours. All these squares that you are seeing on each part of this drawing is what we call contours. And what this contours does is that it allows you to manipulate that particular contour by hovering around it with your cursor until it changes to this kind of icon. You can now move that portion of the drawing with this contour anyhow you want. Okay, anyhow you want. Sorry, I put my save to automatic, so I had to commit to that to say yes, so that it will save our work for us. Now, before we go on with these tools, let's even enter into our preferences, that is our settings, and I will show you the settings that you need to have for you to be able to work efficiently in Toon Boom Harmony. Because sometimes when you are working in Toon Boom Harmony, you need to do some certain things, like for example, if you go to shortcuts, let's start with shortcuts. So shortcuts, sometimes if you install the Toon Boom for the first time, it will give you a prompt whether you want to use flash shortcuts or maintain a Toon Boom Harmony shortcuts. I strongly recommend that you use Toon Boom Harmony shortcut. I can change this shortcut to Adobe Flash, I can change it to Toon Boom Harmony, but use Toon Boom Animate Pro or Harmony shortcut. Okay, do not use any other shortcut, so that you get used to Toon Boom shortcut, because Toon Boom is what the software you are using. Before Uncle, it's software that you are using, so you must have to know the shortcuts to that software instead of knowing the shortcuts to Adobe Flash, unless you have been using Adobe Flash before you now decide to switch over to Toon Boom. Now go to general. The most important thing that you'll be looking out for in general is that this focus on mouse enter. Now this is not ticked as default. I am the person that ticked it and I saved it. Now what it does is that, now I'll show you what it does, but okay, let's see what it does. What it does is that if I switch it on, that means these panels that you are seeing right here, if I hover around any panel, you will see this red line that shows that I am currently in that panel. Now focus on mouse enter allows you to be able to start working immediately in different panels without you having to enter into the panel and still click on the panel before you are able to make any changes. Now let me show you the difference. Now if I go back to the general, focus on mouse enter, sorry, I need to see something right here. Now if I click OK and I try to, you can see that those red barriers, those red borders are no longer in any of the panels that I highlight or my cursor is on. Now I will need to click it before I'm able to work in those panels. Now if I enter this panel here and I'm trying to do something here, it is not going to do anything. Okay, it's not going to do anything here because I'm not in this panel. This red border is still highlighted in this panel. But what the focus on mouse enter does is that once you highlight your cursor to that panel, your cursor will immediately move to that panel and you can be able to work in that panel immediately. So let me switch it back on. Let me take it back on. So also autosave. Now what autosave does is that it will help you save your file automatically without you pressing Ctrl S for save. Okay, now this is what you will do. You say ask before saving. Then you have to enable it first. Then I said ask before saving every 10 minutes. That is why you saw that dialog box that appeared when we were working, and I have to click yes because I wanted to save it. So you can change this minute to 20 minutes if you want to save the software to save your work every 20 minutes, every 10 minutes, depending on the time interval you want. So you have to enable it first. Then you have to say ask before saving if you want the software to inform you first before it's saved. If not, if you untick this, it's going to save without informing you every 10 minutes, which is still okay. Okay, but I just decided to use the one I'm using. Okay, so there is no other setting that we need here except for the formation. When you go to the deformation, you can click on create pose deformer in create deformation above and under. What this does is that when you start using skeletons, there's something we call bones and curves. Now bones and curves can serve as skeleton for rigging a character or putting joints and bones to a character in order to give it life. I will show you guys what we mean by that with time as we go on with the lesson. So you have to create this so that when you start creating drawing substitutions, when you start creating different turnaround views of your character, you will need to create this so that it will be able to create the formation for each of the drawing without affecting the next drawing or the next drawing substitution. Okay, you can create different deformations for each of the drawing substitutions without having to affect the next one. All right, so I will click OK after all the settings. Sorry, the part that I supposed to click OK on this screen is not showing, so I have to move it over a little bit to the other screen so I will be able to see it very well. Okay, so also it's recommended that when you are working in animation, when you are using animation software or any computer graphic, even Photoshop, Maya, 3ds Max, is highly recommended that you get a big monitor or a second monitor that you can be able to see your work very, very well. Okay, so after saying that, we now come back to our tools. So the next one is pencil editor, smooth editor, perspective, edit gradient, or texture. We are going to be seeing what all these tools does. Now we also have our drawing tools. We have the brush tool. Of course, the brush tool is used to draw. We have the pencil tool. The pencil tool is used for drawing also. So let me show you what this tool does. Now, if you want to zoom in into your work, you use the shortcut key one for zooming out, okay, then 2 for zooming in. All right, 1 for zooming out, 2 for zooming in, but don't zoom in too much so that you not get lost in your work. Okay, if you want to turn on the grid of this application, the grid of Toon Boom, just click on this icon here. It means grid. If you click on it, you can turn on the grid. Now, for you to see this grid that I just turned on, you need to go to another view that we call the drawing view. Now, if you look up here, we have 3 views. We have 3 views. I can remove this perspective. Okay, let me just as default, the only views that you see as default when you open Toon Boom is the camera view and the drawing view. The camera view is the view that will allow you to bring together all your animations. You're able to see all your animations move as you click on the play button here, and you're able to use keyframe animation only in camera view. The only thing the drawing view does is it is used just for drawing. You can use it to draw your characters. You can use it to do frame by frame drawing, draw your characters. Okay, let me show you. Draw the first character, draw the second character, draw the next character, but it is basically used for drawing only. Okay, so the drawing panel is used for only drawing and painting. Okay, so you can only use this panel to draw and to paint, but you cannot animate in it unless you want to do a frame by frame animation, in which case you have to be doing your drawing every page. For example, now if you are writing on an exercise book, each exercise book have pages, right? So the first page you write something or you draw something on the first page, then you go to the next page and you have to draw or write something on the next page. That is how Toon Boom works. Now we have layers in Toon, what we call layers. If you come down here, you can see that the first layer, each time you open Toon Boom will automatically create a layer, the first layer for you. Now this first layer is like an exercise book or a textbook. Okay, so this textbook contains pages. So inside this drawing layer, you are able to draw or write. Now, if you enter this drawing layer, these things you are seeing right here that are moving right now represents the pages of this drawing layer. I can even extend the pages. Currently, the pages is at 60. It stopped at 60. How do you know where a page stops? You will see this crosshair right here that looks like a flag pointing left or something with this arrow pointing to the right, black arrow. That means this is where this animation will end. It ends at 60 pages currently, or frames. What we call pages in an animation software are frames. Frames, just like pages of exercise book. Frames. So we have frame 1, 2, 3. That is page 1, 2, 3 to 60. Now how do you know the current page you are on even though you are moving this? This is where you see it, frame. Okay, so we are currently on frame 15. We are currently on frame 15, and this is start. That means this animation started at frame 1 and it will stop as frame 60, as you can see here. So this book or exercise book will stop at 60 pages or 60 frames. Okay, so the frame rate per second or frame per second is 24. What this means is that for every 1 second there will be 24 frames of animation. For every 1 second there will be 24 frames. For every 1 second there will be 24 pages of animation or of drawing. So there must be 24 pages of drawing for you to get just 1 second of animation. You see how time consuming animation can be. All right, so for you to get just 1 second of animation, you need 24 pages or 24 frames. This is what it means here. Okay, and the higher the frames, the faster your animation will become. The lower the frames, the slower it becomes. If I change this into 12 frames, maybe I finished doing my drawing in 24 frames, I change it to 12, the animation or the drawing is going to move slower than before. So with time we are going to see what I mean by this, but I'm trying to show you, give you some of the basics of how this software works. Like I said, that you are not able to see your grid except you move into your drawing view. So this is the grid. I can toggle it on and off. Okay, toggle it on and off. All right, so this is your camera view, your drawing view. You are not able to animate in your drawing view. You cannot animate or use these animation tools here. You cannot use any of these animation tools in your drawing view. You can only use them in your camera view. The only tool here that you can use in your drawing view is the pivot tool. Now this pivot tool will allow you to create pivots, joints, point of rotation of joints. That is, if you look at your body now, we have your arm and you have where your lower arm rotates from, where your hand also rotates from, is it not? And those places your hands rotate from, there are joints there. Okay, so that is what the pivot does. It drops pivots or point of rotation and different joints of your character. So by the time we start designing our character, we will see what we mean by that. So let's go back to our camera view. All right, so this is our, like I said, this is our drawing layer. This is our layer panel. This point you are seeing here is the layer panel. This is the timeline. The timeline containing the pages of a layer, the pages of a book or layer. Okay, so this is the first layer. We can start populating this place with more layers by using this icon here or this icon. This icon will allow you to do what? Add drawing layer. So if I click on it, I can add multiple. If you continue clicking on it, you can continue adding layers. But remember that each of these layers have their own pages. So each of the layer that you add using this add layer icon or symbol, okay, it will add books. That means piling up books. Just like you go to the library, you see books piled on the table. Those books represent layers of drawing. Now those layers, if you now pick one book from those books piled up and you start opening it, you can see the pages of that particular book or layer. So these layers that I start populating here shows that these are books that are being piled up to each other, but each of the books have their own layer. If you start moving into the frames here or the pages here of this layer, okay, let me add, and I can, if you want to highlight or move to a layer from one layer to the other, you have to click on that particular layer. Like I want to move to drawing 2, and that means this drawing 2, I'm now inside the pages of this drawing 2. I'm in page 1 or frame 1. Then if I start moving across, I can stop at page 60 of this drawing 2. I can do the same thing with drawing 1, and I move into drawing 1. You can see that drawing 1 is at the middle, okay, according to where it is positioned in the layer panel. All right, so I can now start to move across this drawing 2. The same thing with this drawing 1, or okay, normal drawing. Okay, Alright, so that is it for layers. You can also create drawings. If you don't want to use this icon, you can use this icon here, click on it, it will show you more options. Now depending on what you want to create, if you just want to create a drawing layer immediately, just use this icon. But if you want to create other things like camera, color card, a group, a peg, word map, or sound, you can use this icon right here that has a plus sign. Now if you want to, maybe you created layers and you don't like the layer, a particular layer, you want to delete the layer, you can simply use this minus icon which tells you delete layers. So I can delete this 8th layer. It will bring up a dialog box here to confirm. You have to confirm so that you make sure that you want to delete this layer. Maybe you made a mistake and you clicked on that minus mistakenly, and it will now bring up this dialog box for you to confirm. So if you made the mistake and cancel, but in this case no, so you can continue doing the same. You have to highlight a layer, then click the minus, continue doing the same thing, continue doing the same thing, okay, to delete the layers that you don't want. All right, so you delete all the layers, as you can see. All right, so except one layer, you cannot delete. Okay, all right, okay. Now the next thing that we are going to see is the drawing tools. Now we are in the brush tool. Now there's a difference between the brush tool and the pencil tool, and we're going to see them. Now I am on my brush tool. Remember, if you want to zoom in, don't forget, zooming out is what? 1. Sorry, this thing is misbehaving. Okay, zooming out is what? 1, and zooming in is what? 2. 1, 2, 1, and 2. Okay, so I want to start creating an artwork. Maybe I want to draw something, not create an artwork. I want to show you the difference between a pencil line and a brush line. We are now in the brush. If I draw something now, before I draw something, if you any tool you click here, any tool you click here, any tool at all, we have the properties of that tool. And where can you see the properties? You can see the properties for that tool right here. So we are now currently in our brush tool, and these are the properties for the brush tool. You can see that the first one is what? The brush itself that you clicked. Now the second one, draw behind. That is if you have an artwork and you want to add another drawing, but you want to do it behind the drawing that you currently have. This, you click on this and you can now draw behind a line work that you just did. It will now draw another line work behind it if you toggle this one on. Now this one is repaint brush. That is if you are drawing and you don't want to like the color you are drawing with, you can change to another color and use this repaint brush. Now when you are doing all these things, you can check, because this software is so vast, it has so many functionalities and tools which we might not touch all of them as we move on. We might just touch the ones that are very important for animation, for basic animation, but as we continue along, maybe I will still create other videos touching on specific parts of some tools and how to specially use them. All right, so if you come down here, you can see that this is the brush tip. The brush tip, this brush tip actually determines the minimum and the maximum size of the brush. Now let me show you what I mean. This works, of course, only with graphic tablet, okay? So that minimum size means that if I start pressing my graphic tablet lightly, the size of my line work will be very light and small. But if I start pressing it harder, you can see what is happening right now. It means that the maximum size, if I start pressing it harder, the size of the line will be thick as much as 20 from the settings here. But if I start pressing it lighter, the size will reduce to 5 from your. It only works with graphic tablet. Pen pressure, it only recognizes the pen sensitivity of your graphic tablet. It does not work with mouse at all. Okay, now let me show you a bigger example. If I like this maximum size and increase it to something like 50, it's too much, right? Now once you increase or decrease, everything is reflected here. You see the size of your brush according to how you are manipulating it here. Now let me show you. Now I start drawing with 5 and I can increase it. You see how big it is now. It's bigger than, it was bigger than 20. Now it becomes bigger than the 20 that we used before. You can see, right? So this is what the minimum and maximum size does. It's very, very handy and important. Let me change this back to 20. All right, so the next one is what we call the smoothness and the contour optimization. What it does is, well, let me show you now. If this smoothness is at 0, what it does is that when I draw, this software is not going to help me and make this line smooth. Okay, but if I start putting bringing up this, let me put this thing to 3. Okay, let me put it back to 0 and show you using 2 examples. Let me now bring it up to 3. You see the difference between that one and the other one. You see what happened? You see what? Let me do it again. You see what happened? The software tries to smooth my line work. When I drew this one, nothing happened because the software is respecting my choice of I want to control every every drawing I do without helping me out to smooth it or to make it smoother. Okay, for example, if you are trying to draw a circle, this one might not be so noticeable until I increase this thing. Maybe let me increase it to 6. Increase it to 6. Make sure it's working. And I try to draw something like a rectangle. It's not going to draw the rectangle the way I want it. Okay, it's going to try and smooth it out and round it off to a circle, because this smooth is at 6. Now if I put it back to 0 and it's not back to 0. I put it back to 0 and I try to draw the rectangle, it's not going to change anything. The only thing is going to change is the contour. The contour optimization means that it's going to optimize the contours. All right, let me draw a brush. Let me draw a pencil. Now the way you use a brush is also the way you use a pencil. You also see the same settings here. Now for the brush also, we have different shapes for the brush. Now these are tips. The brush tips is currently at circle. If I put square shape, you can see if I zoom in, the start of the brush is square and the ending is square, because this is the tip that I'm the setting of the tip that I'm currently on. If I go back to circle, you can see the start and the ending are circular. The same thing with the others. That's what they all do. Okay, you can see that this one gives me something that looks like calligraphy, which is nice actually, depending on the kind of animation you're doing. This is very, very nice. Okay, so these are the settings for the tip of the brush. So we go back to the circular tip. Okay, so just go through these 2 properties of this brush tool or this pencil tool and other tools here. Anything you highlight here, you see the property of that tool here. Okay, so this is brush tool, this is pencil tool. So let us see the pencil tool. Currently the size is I think a little bit, the maximum size is a little bit small. Let's increase it to 20 and let's draw another. All right, so let's see the difference between the brush tool and the pencil tool. Now this is my brush tool that I used to draw this line, and this is the pencil tool that I used to draw this line. Let's go to our selection so that we can be able to select any of these two. Now if I select the brush tool, you can see a difference. You can see that the selection enveloped this line from the 2 edges, but the selection did not envelope this line. It's rather reflected in the middle of this line, in the middle of this drawing or line work. Do you understand? Now let me show you. Now this is what we call vector lines. The lines that are enveloping this drawing in the middle are what we call vector lines. These lines are called vector lines. Okay, so these vector lines have what we call contours that will allow you to manipulate the vector lines. You can only see the contours when you switch to your contour editor. That is, you can use it to edit contours. These are contours, like I said before. These squares are what we call contours. So you can just hover around one contour until you see this icon that looks like a cursor with something that like dot by square dot below it. You can start manipulating the contours to get something different from what you drew the line as. Maybe you want to match up a particular artwork with this kind of manipulation or editing. You can just use this. But what this brush tool does is that you cannot manipulate this line work from the middle. You can only manipulate the contours from the edges of the line work, okay, like this. Both of them have their strengths and their weaknesses. Now let's see this, the pencil. You can see that for the pencil, the contour line is at the middle, not at the two edges, and the contours are in the middle also. So this will give you a much better flexibility to manipulate not just this contour, but the line will move along with it. Okay, so you can move this everything here. Maybe you want to match up an artwork very well, and you want to kind of like just use the pencil to draw the initial sketch of that line work. Then you start manipulating these contours to match what you want. Now if you click on a contour, if you go and click on a contour, or you just circle over it with your lasso tool like this, a contour, that is, if you click like this and maybe circle over it, and circle over it, maybe circle over this one, you will see what we call Bezier handles. This Bezier handle will allow you to manipulate just a part of this contour. All right, manipulate this contour the way you want. Maybe you want to make it more curved. Maybe you want to manipulate this one too. You can see that you can manipulate this contour the way you want, these contours the way you want. So I'm manipulating this one, and you cannot do this same thing here. All right, you can only manipulate this same thing, and it will only function from the edges, not from the middle. You can see the difference. I can do this one, and it will only affect the edges and make the lines thicker. But these ones, the lines will remain the same way that they are. No matter how you manipulate them, the lines will move along with them. Okay, so move along with the contours. So depending on what you are looking for, both of them have their own strengths and their own weaknesses. So for designing our character, especially for a cutout character, you can use a combination of these two drawing methods, these two drawing tools, the pencil or the brush tool. Like I said, they have their own strengths and their own weaknesses. As we start to develop our character, we will see the strength and the weaknesses both of these tools have. Okay, so we have one more drawing tool that we are going to talk about. Every other drawing tool that is not the brush tool or the pencil tool is automatically a pencil tool. It has a central vector line. This is what I mean by central vector line. The pencil tool is a drawing tool with a central vector line. This line running in the middle of this line artwork is what we call central vector, and in that vector line is where you find the contours. You cannot find the contours outside the vector line. See another example. This vector lines is not running in the middle for a brush tool, rather is enveloping the brush tool. It's running along the edges of the brush tool, and it's also in these edges that you find the contours. You cannot find the contours in the middle because the contour will only follow the line, the vector line. Okay, just like it is following this vector line here. All right, so now the final drawing tool, which is down here, which are just shape tools. You can use it as shape tools. We have the line tool. From the name, you simply use it to draw a line. You can, if you want to draw a straight line, just hold down Shift and draw a straight line, or you can draw it at angles by moving it. This is I think 180. This is 30 degrees, 45 degrees, 60. All right, so we all know for us that knows our mathematics anyway, don't mind me. Okay, so that's it for the line tool. We have the rectangle tool from the name, of course. You can just draw a rectangle and it will. Now if you want to draw a rectangle and you want to fill it in immediately, you can use autofill. If I click on it and switch it on, if I draw and bring out and release, it will automatically fill the rectangle. If I change my color, something like red, and I draw, to also fill to that color. Okay, so these tools, once you click any of these tools, they have their own tool properties. Okay, so the next tool is the ellipse tool. If I didn't switch it from here, I'll switch it from here. Ellipse tool is simple, of course, to know. Ellipse, something like circle or oval. If you want to draw a perfect circle, hold down shift to draw a perfect circle. If you want to draw it from the middle, hold down shift and alt to draw from the middle. Okay, or shift only to draw from here. Like I said, if you want to just autofill your work, just switch on this autofill first before you start drawing, and you draw and release to autofill it. Okay, now these are for the tool. Now this polyline tool serves as a trace. It traces. This tool can work for those people that don't have graphic tablet. Maybe you have an artwork that you drew on paper. You can import it into the computer by using your phone to snap that artwork. Sure you understand? You use your phone to snap your artwork. In case you don't have a graphic tablet, you draw it on paper with pen or pencil. You snap it with your phone. You import it into Toon Boom. I'll show you how to import images from your computer. You save it in your computer, of course, from your phone into a folder or anywhere. Then you import it from that location into your Toon Boom. So this pen tool, use it to trace. You draw the first point. If you draw the second point, to form the second point, and draw the third point. Maybe that artwork is curved. You can drop the next point and don't release while still holding. You can start dragging out Bezier to make it a curve, to form a curve. But if you want to just manipulate just one part of this Bezier and kind of like make it straight, you can hold down Alt and start dragging. It will just drag one of the Bezier in a linear fashion. Okay, maybe you want to change direction. Maybe when you are drawing like this, I want to change the direction so that it will just connect to this place. You know that if you don't do it that way and you release and draw again, it might not work. You don't want, maybe I don't want a curve here. I don't want a curve here like this. Maybe I want to move it straight ahead. Okay, maybe I want to move it straight ahead. Don't mind me, let me ahead. So maybe I want to move it straight ahead. I can just hold Alt and position it the way I want, then close it up here. All right, if you want to remember, if you want to close up your pen tool, just go to a contour and click on it to close it. All right, to close it. Okay, so that's for the pen tool or polyline tool. I don't make use of this tool. In fact, I've never made use of the tool. And remember, each of the tools that you use that is not a pencil tool or brush tool will be automatically pencil. It will have central vector lines once you highlight them. Like this one has central vector lines. You can see that these are different drawings. Okay, different drawing, and you want to merge both of them. You can merge both of these drawings together. Okay, you can merge. Let's see the icon. Okay, so you can merge it using this icon, merge pencil lines. You can merge them together. It might change a little bit of your artwork to some extent, but to end up giving you what you want. So I've merged this drawing together using this icon here, merge pencil lines. You can also find it in drawing, optimize, I think, or is it optimize or is it convert? Let's see where it is here. Optimize, create smooth. removes contour strokes. Let's see. Okay, merge. Okay, maybe it's not here. Don't mind me, I've not used this part of the menu bar to look for the merge contour or merge pencil lines. All right, but I think it's somewhere there. Maybe doing your own spare time, you can just look for it very well. But if you don't find it, I'm sure it's somewhere there. Just use this merge pencil line. So sometimes some of these tools they are kind of like confusing, and sometimes you can actually forget where some of the tools are if you are too used to shortcuts, and also the tools that are located in shortcut areas like this place. So this is automatically a pencil line, where you can convert a pencil line to a brush line and a brush line to a pencil line. But it is recommended to only convert from pencil line to a brush line rather than from a brush line to a pencil line, because if you convert from a brush line to a pencil line, the line will start to look jagged. But if you convert from a pencil line to a brush line, the artwork will retain almost everything that it had when it was a pencil line. Now you go to drawing, convert pencil to brush strokes. You have to convert what you just selected. Okay, so you use the selection to select the artwork you want to convert. So I want to convert. You can see what happened when I click on convert to brush strokes. Now you can see that the central vector line changed to the vector lines at the edges. The vector lines appeared at the edges. Let me undo and show you now. Undo it again. You can see the vector lines in the middle, showing that this is a pencil artwork, pencil line artwork. You go to drawing, convert to pencil lines to brush strokes, and you can see that I've converted it to brush strokes. How you know is that the vector lines are no longer in the middle but at the edges of the artwork. So this is now a brush line, not a pencil line any longer. Okay, so if I can also convert this one to brush strokes to still retain its artwork. If I try to convert this one to pencil, wow, you see what happened? Just check it out. You see what happened? Let me try to convert it back again to brush strokes. You see what happened? It no longer retains is the initial artwork. It has totally changed our artwork from what it was before to a brand new something that I don't even know of, or I didn't even think of drawing. Okay, so that is to show you that the brush converting from pencil to brush is safer than converting from brush to pencil. If you are using brush with the ultimate aim of trying to convert later to pencil, it is highly recommended that you rather use pencil to draw your art, so that when you convert to brush, it's still going to retain most of your lines. Okay, so these are the tools that you can use. You can use any of them how you want, depending on the character you are building, but you can interchange them. You can use them, you can combine all of them together in the same artwork. It doesn't matter. Okay, now I will select all of them by using my lasso tool and circling all of them to select 3 of them. You can select them, as you can also move your selection anywhere you want to. Now I want to, okay, let's leave it for now. We use this thing and demonstrate something now. So coming to the color panel, for the color panel, this is where you find your colors. So when you open Toon Boom for the first time, these are the default colors that you are going to see. All right, so if you open Toon Boom, you see this color: black, white, red, and up to vectorized line. You can remove any of these colors, you can add more colors, you can remove everything entirely here. You can create new color palette, okay, by clicking on this icon here, then palette, create new. Okay, you can give it any name you want and create it. Okay, when you create that new palette, it's going to come up with a default color. You can now start populating that scene. If you click on this plus icon, you can start populating the colors, adding more colors. You can change the color, and we are going to see how we are going to change those color. I did undo to go back to my previous action. I didn't want to create a new palette. I just wanted to show you how to create a new palette. These other ones I will show you how it works with time, but you can just help yourself and know how these ones work. You can say link to external. Maybe you created another artwork in another Toon Boom file. You can use this link. Okay, this link you can use it to link in between or within the same project. Maybe I created two different characters in this same project and I want to link the color for one character to the next character. I can use this link. Then for linking external, you can use this link external to another artwork that was created in another project that is not this one. Maybe I opened another Toon Boom project and I named it animation, my first animation, and I have opened another project before and I used some colors that I really love, and I want to use those colors in that project, my first animation. I use link to external. Can use import to import colors from another project into this current project or into your current project that is currently open. Okay, then other ones we can see, maybe with time we see what they do. Now if we click on any of these colors, if you want to enter into any of these colors, you can just double click it to enter into the color picker. So this color right here is currently white, but you can start to change it by sliding this symbol that looks like a ruler here. You can start to change it, maybe change it to another color you want, and you can now enter into the color picker itself and start moving around to change the position. Maybe I want something that looks like blue. When you're moving around, be looking at this color here. Maybe I want to change something like blue. You can see that I'm now somewhere that looks like blue. You can now use this ruler and you start moving across to blue, okay, to get your blue. But how I normally do this, when I open my color picker, I normally use this hue so that it will easily give me any color that I want by just sliding this point here without having to slide here and also slide here before I get the color I want. So I can just slide here. Maybe I want to get something like green. Of course you know that if I slide across this area, it will give me something like green. Then I can go there and start getting the kind of green I want. Maybe light green, very bright green, or greenish white, or dark green, or greenish black, or something like that. Okay, so if you are moving it, you'll be seeing the color change here. And also when you are moving around this color picker, it is reflecting on that color that you highlighted and entered into its picker. It is immediately reflecting in that color, as you can see. Alright, so that is it for other colors too. You can also rename this color from white to anything. Maybe when you start creating your characters, you can start giving them different color, like shirt. You can call this one shirt, so that you know that this color is for the shirt, or you can call it trouser, so that you know that this color is for the trouser. You can call it skin, so that you know that the color is for the skin. Same thing for every other thing right there. Okay, now to color your artwork, of course you have to use the color picker. You use the color paint bucket, sorry, or the paint. I call it paint bucket because it's the same thing in Photoshop. So I use the paint bucket. If you select it, all you need to do is to select the color you want to paint the artwork with, maybe blue. Then enter into the artwork and paint. Now this artwork has been painted blue. You can see that it has been filled with blue color, and the stroke is still black. Of course, you can even also come to the strokes and click the same blue to paint everything blue. Okay, you paint this one. If you want to paint this one also, you can come to that black line and just click on it with the paint bucket, and it will also paint it. Now let me show you something. If maybe I was drawing something and my line, some of my line is open, just like this. Maybe my line is open and I didn't know somewhere it's open a little bit. Maybe I was drawing and I didn't cover it up. Maybe I was drawing a circle like this and I reached somewhere here and I didn't cover it up. this paint bucket is not going to work, because it can only work where there is a complete closure of lines. Let me show you. Maybe I will use green this time around. If I try to paint, you see that is working, it's not coloring. What is working here is not coloring. Why? Of course, because these lines, it is open, just like there is an opening here, no gate to close it. So these lines needs to be closed. When you are drawing, make sure your lines are touching and closed before you are able to color your artwork. If not, you are not able to color it. I'll also show you another way by which we'll be able to color artworks that are open. We have to make use of what we call strokes, which are invisible lines, but there are lines that are there, but they are invisible. What do I mean by this? You go to that same paint bucket, you come down all the way to stroke. Stroke is a tool that allows us to draw on the canvas, but the drawings you make with the stroke, you are not going to see it. It's invisible unless you toggle the visibility of that stroke on. Let me show you what I mean. If I draw something now with this stroke, you can see that it's not drawing any line work, maybe with blue color or black. See what it showed me? You have added a stroke to the drawing, but it will not be visible unless you activate show strokes from the view menu. Okay, now the stroke I drew is there, but you cannot see it unless you activate the visibility of that stroke before you're able to see it. How do we do that? Go to view. Now of course I always use shortcut, so I have to check where it is. Okay, so grid, you go to show, you go to show strokes. Wonderful. So this is the stroke now that I drew. You can see. So the strokes is now visible. What the stroke does is that it will be able to color your artwork without this line. Maybe you want to color a hand. Maybe you drew a separate hand, the upper arm in a separate layer and the lower arm in a separate layer, and you want to blend both arms in. You can use stroke to do that, and we are going to see how we are going to do that when we start designing our character. Okay, so these strokes right here is there. You can use K, is a shortcut which I always use without going to that view menu. Alright, stressing myself to go to the view menu. Shortcut is a wonderful thing and it always works, and it's always recommended to use shortcut whenever you are working. So I use K to show my strokes, so I can now color these strokes. Maybe I use green, color these strokes, and if I come out from, if I press K, so that I will not see my stroke line again, you can see that there is something there, but there is no line work there. There is no line work there like this one and this one, but there is a stroke there that is covering this line, that is functioning as a line. Sorry, it's functioning as a line, but I'm not able to see it because it's not as thick as this. Okay, so now when you toggle the visibility of your stroke on, you are able to see not only your stroke but the outward strokes of other line works like this. Okay, so let me undo and let me use that method and close up this area without drawing over with my pencil or my brush tool. Now let me go back to stroke, making sure that you're able to see your stroke by pressing K to see these blue lines. If you see these blue lines, that means you're able to see your stroke. And I draw from here to here, or I come from here to here, so that I'll be able to close up this area with color. And I can do the same thing here, draw from here to here, and I have closed it up. Now I will be able to paint if I want to paint. Okay, I can paint this place, and if I use K to come out from my stroke, you can see that there's no line work here in between these two line works, but it's able to color it because there is a stroke here. I drew a stroke here, but I cannot see that stroke if I don't use K. If I press K, I'll see the stroke. If I press it again, I'll not see it, but there is a stroke there filling in or covering this line work so that I'll be able to fill it in with color. The same thing here. Okay, the same thing here. All right, now remember, you're able to draw a line work depending on the color you are highlighting at the moment. So if I highlight blue, I'm able to draw in blue. Red, I'm able to draw in red. White, the same thing. Any of them. Okay, so we have been using black to draw all these things. We can also go to our drawing view, but sometimes when you are working, especially in the night, it is recommended that you most of the time work in your camera view so that it will be easy on your eyes. It will be easy on your eye. But when you are working on drawing view, especially in the night, the bright light or the white canvas will be too much or too harsh to your eyes. So it's recommended most of the time to work in your camera view. Okay, these are the major tools that we'll be using to be designing our artwork. So with time, when we are through with designing our artwork, we'll now be able to do other things and to learn other tools that we have not touched here. So let me go ahead and remove all these drawings or artworks that I made here by simply selecting all of them and hitting the delete key. Okay, my drawing is still there, but I've deleted the content of that drawing. Now mind you, if I do delete this, that when I started drawing the first time, immediately I started drawing, there was something like a frame that was formed. The frame is no longer empty. Frame 1 is no longer empty. If you start drawing, the empty frame will no longer be empty. So this is frame 1 or page 1. Page 1 is no longer, it now contains drawings. Just like you are drawing a book, once you start drawing in a page of a book, the page is no longer empty. Okay, even if you erase for Toon Boom, if you erase, the page is still there, it's no longer empty. The only thing is that you are now able to just delete those drawings. You can see that if I delete, the page is still there, but I can easily redraw, create another drawing. Okay, so this comes to the end of this class, and the next class we are going to start importing, or we are going to see how we can start importing an artwork or an image. We see how we are going to import image from a folder in our computer, so that we can start recreating those the image for animation. So the next lesson will be character design, which we are going to see after the break. Okay, so like I said, if you don't have a graphic tablet and you decide to import a character, you can just draw the character on a book. Then you can now snap it with your phone, transfer it to your computer into a folder, then open your Toon Boom and locate where the folder is. You can use it to follow along once we start importing our own image. But it is highly recommended that you get a graphic tablet, because you will still see the reason or the need of that graphic. In fact, you cannot do without graphic tablet, and you need it, and it's very, very important. So see you in the next class.